What's up, you mutts? It's another edition of the Kevin Clancy Show. Later on the back half, me and Joe Coy sat down for like an hour yesterday. Joe Coy is arguably the most successful comedian on the planet Earth today, and I don't think he gets the respect he deserves. No, I know he doesn't get the respect he deserves. Everybody who moves tickets the way he does, you know their name because they are a major household entity, production, like their own company, like a Kevin Hart. Like Kevin Hart's out here hosting the Oscars because he sells out arenas. So does Joe Coy. Joe Coy sold, the only person who sold more tickets than Joe Coy is Jerry fucking Seinfeld. This dude sells out arenas like 10 nights in a row. It's absolutely incredible. He's got a holiday and like a street named after him back in the Philippines. Monster comic on the show. Know the fucking name. Respect him. So we talked to him about all of his success and the dynamic in the comedian world, and unfortunately the latest shooting, which involved some Asian racism, because it's something that is way more prevalent in our society than you realize. So me and Joe Coy talking about that. But up top here first, we got to talk about some other things. I mean, aliens are real. I mean, just straight up and down, aliens, we know it. It's a fact now. And I don't even think people care anymore. The latest is a former advisor of Trump, who was under that administration, was involved in national security, came out and said that we will be declassifying more videos of UFOs. And in these videos, you will see these objects that are flying faster than the speed of sound without breaking the sound barrier and hearing a sonic boom. They are maneuvering in ways that are just like defying physics and doing maneuvers that we've just never seen before with any of our aircrafts or any of our technology. And he said, like, you're going to see the videos. They're going to come out. And this is on the heels of the same videos we saw in 2017 that Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 declassified. We know that you can go to those websites now where every single document that the government has on unidentified flying objects has been declassified. And nobody seems to care. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, we had people, coming out saying, like, we've found objects, we found materials not of this world. We found pieces of like what appears to be a flying saucer UFO that is using material that does not exist on this planet. And every time these new stories come out, which end up always being proven true, or we see the evidence ourselves, every time that happens, everyone's just like, oh, cool, interesting. Which makes no sense, because for the longest time, the existence of aliens and the question of are we alone out there is one that has like dominated the human mind, dominated like collective society, dominated pop culture and movies. And now we pretty much have the answer without having, the true smoking gun, without having like, bam, we caught ourselves a fucking alien. Look here, little gray head. That obviously is going to be what it takes to finally drive it home to people. But short of that, everything else we've got. It used to be like there's no proof, it's only eyewitness accounts. Now there's videos. We have videos of these unidentified flying objects. It used to be like, oh, the only people saying this are, crackpot civilians. Well, no, now you have people who worked in the government, people who currently work in the government. You have the U.S. Navy confirming it. It used to be things like, oh, well, it can be explained. It's a weather balloon. Well, no, these things are now not just floating in the air. It's not just a picture of a speck in the sky. It's things that we have on video maneuvering in ways which are impossible here, like on the planet Earth, given our technology. So what more do you need? We keep checking every single box. It's not just crackpots, it's the government. It's not just hearsay, it's video evidence. It's not just easily explained by something else. It's like, no, these are truly unexplainable. And I mean, the smoking gun for me was that they had objects that were like, the material was not of this planet, like meaning the elements in it. I don't know what that means, and it just goes to reinforce my idea that I said a few months ago on this podcast, that people only care when it's the unknown, and when it's like salacious, and when it's something like the unexplainable part is what drives us to explain, to be able to explain, to find out the answer. And then once you know the answer, you're like, okay, well, this isn't fun anymore. Which is kind of crazy. Because like I said, for so long, since basically like since the beginning of time, when people used to like look up to the stars and, you know, talk about religion and the existence of other people. But since like the 50s with the whole Roswell thing and Area 51, have we been like fixated on proving the existence of aliens. And, you know, there's 10 boxes to check, and 9 of them have been checked, with the 10th one being like, we have talked to a fucking alien. Other than that, we've checked like every other box, and nobody cares. All of the evidence you want, you can go read it on the internet right now. Every file has been declassified. You can read every single thing, well, that the government's willing to declassify, at least. And I know they're keeping some other shit hidden, of course. There's no way the government's showing their whole hand. But they made all of that available to read, and nobody even goes and reads it, because we don't actually necessarily, I think, I don't know, I personally do still care if there are aliens, that there are aliens, and where are they, and are they coming? But it's like, now that we know, people are just kind of like, okay, well, yeah, the government has confirmed it, and there's video, and yeah, it's not on this planet, and they can, you know, break the sound barrier without actually breaking the sound barrier, without any sonic boom. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Shout out to Guile, by the way. Sonic boom! One of the best like moves in video game history. Nothing that compares with the Hadouken. Hadouken! Far superior to the sonic boom. But however, if you're into the whole like American thing, I'm a soldier, that crazy hair. I used to kind of have hair like Giles back in the day. The sonic boom was pretty dope. Anyway, I think it's actually more of a commentary on like the psyche of people, as opposed to the topic of aliens. It's like we want to chase. We don't want to have. Like, it's like, you know, when you watch a TV show, it's always better when the couple is not together. You know, you want them to get together. And then, the seasons where they are together, it's like Jim and Pam. You love the cat and mouse with Jim's going after Pam, but Pam's married to Roy, and they have their moments, and like, oh, this is going to be it. They're finally going to kiss. And then they do, and then he proposes on the turnpike, and then, like, you know, the episodes where they're getting married, you're kind of like, oh, I don't know, this sucks. Because you always want what you can't have. And you always want to chase after what seems to be the unexplained. It's like when you think about even the X-Files, the idea is the unexplained, the unknown. People are fixated on the unknown. Nobody gives a fuck about the known. The known is just like you're in school. It's like the known is just like you're reading from a textbook. Who cares? So there you have it. Aliens are just like here, or not here, but aliens are known. And now it just becomes like, I say this all the time. When you watch Planet Earth and they go 15,000 feet below sea level into like the Marianas Trench, and they find these fish that it's so dark below because there's no sunlight, that they have these, you know, tentacles that stick out that create their own light, or they don't have eyeballs, but they have these sensors to get around the idea that it's pitch black down there. Those fucking things are aliens. They look like monsters from another dimension. They look like something that you'd see in a movie that scares you at night. Those are aliens. But they're right here on the planet Earth. Instead of going up to space to find them, you go down, underwater to find them. But it's the same idea. These are foreign, creepy, scary, monster living beings that we find to be like, whoa, I've never encountered anything like that. It's just in the ocean, so we don't care. If it was in the sky, we would freak out. But I don't even know if we would, because that's my point. If we went to Mars and there was a monster looking creature like that, then what? Play it out. What happens then? You know, we do the same thing that I think we do on planet Earth. I think we capture those fucking things, and then we like do biopsies and we do tests on it and all that kind of shit, I think. And then it would just be like, okay, like, yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is that we could sustain life there, and maybe if they were a carbon-based life form, that means we could survive there. Of course, there are much bigger implications of finding something in the ocean versus finding something on another planet. But I'm saying from a point of view of the us at home on the internet, it would be like, wow, that's fucking crazy. Anyway, what's going on fucking YouTube? We'll talk about David Dobrik in a minute. I think the point is that the more mysterious, the more in the dark things are, the more people take interest in them. And then when you shine a light on it, it's like, okay, we want to know what things go bump in the night. We're scared of what's under our bed. And when you look under your bed and there's nothing there, you're just like, okay, this is boring now. I guess in this case, though, it's like if you looked under the bed and there fucking was something there, why are you still not fixated on that? I guess we need to find, we need to have an alien life form, alive or dead, in our possession. Because anything short of that seems to not. I think it's a testament to, like I said, the human psyche, which is, you always want what's not there. You always you're chasing what seems to be the unattainable. Also, the idea that we are so overstimulated with things. Back in the 1950s, a speck in the sky at night was the biggest fucking news you could ever imagine, the craziest, the most interesting thing you could hear. Nowadays, you watch some special on, HD TV at 1080p 4K virtual reality on some streaming service while reading up on, some conspiracy theory and pulling up some Wikipedias and some vlogs and stimulating yourself with all of these stories and facts and tales and theories that are just there's just so much more to consume now that entertains and stimulates and makes you think that, the good old, are aliens out there? It just doesn't move the needle anymore. You look at these crazy fucks in QAnon. You look at the stories that these people are believing, and yeah, aliens don't mean shit. The new doc on HBO, Into the Storm, all about QAnon. It's brought to you by Bare Bottom Clothing. I'm wearing the Bare Bottom right now. If you're watching on YouTube, which you should be, go to YouTube, Kevin Clancy, subscribe to my show. Not only will you get the YouTube episodes of the podcast, you'll also get the 1 Minute Man videos. We're also thinking about expanding the 1 Minute Man videos into a shorter, multiple topics of the day sort of thing. So a lot of content to be consumed visually, a lot of videos to watch. Go subscribe to the Kevin Clancy Show. If you're watching, I got the blue Bare Bottom long sleeve shirt on. Not only does it make my eyes pop, which I say every time, the softest tee you'll ever wear. It's perfect for right now. The weather's changing. It's a little bit warm, still a little bit chilly. The softest goddamn shirt you'll ever wear. I rock the joggers. I rock the long sleeve tees. And I got the denim fabric hoodies. It's not actually denim. It's not like jeans, but it's like denim fibers, they said. Very sleek. It's got good weight to it. Very heavy. Kind of covers up all the lumps all over your body if you're skinny fat like me. Looks stylish and even more comfortable, especially if you're talking about the long sleeve tee. I got red, green, blue, gray, white, tan, black. I got every color. It's that comfortable. I pop it on. I have my closet is overflowing with clothes. Stuff that I sell, stuff that I sample, stuff that sponsors send, stuff that I just buy. Old ratty t-shirts I keep for years on end. I don't wear any of it because I just have these. I have 7 of these that I just pull out of the closet, pull off the top of the pile every day. New Bare Bottom, new Bare Bottom, new Bare Bottom, new Bare Bottom. It's the most comfortable shit. And for me, for a guy like me, easy, stylish, classic look, that's how I roll. Go to barebottomclothing.com, B-E-A-R clothing, Bare Bottom Clothing, B-E-A-R bottomclothing.com, and use promo code Clancy, and you'll get free shipping on that first order. I recommend you get as many of the long sleeve tees as you can. Grab the joggers, and you'll look pretty sharp. The QAnon doc is preposterous. I watched the first episode. It's a 6-part series. Sunday nights, 9 o'clock, HBO. Fills that gap, scratches that itch. To me, my life is infinitely better when I have a Sunday night show, and particularly, that's something stuck in my mouth. And particularly Sunday night, 9 p.m. HBO. This is a documentary. It's not like a scripted show, like when Game of Thrones was cooking, or some of your favorite HBO classics. That 9 p.m. when you hear the TV plug in, turn on, that boom, and the static comes up. What's the first thing you think of when you hear that? When I do the HBO plug in, what theme song do you hear? Some people hear Curb Your Enthusiasm. Some people hear Game of Thrones. It's 100% Entourage. That is the answer. When you see the HBO screen pop up, the HBO pops on, and then there's the snow, and it goes shh. Immediately, I think of down, 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 down. Oh yeah! It's 100% Entourage. That's the only correct answer. All the rest of you are wrong. Anyway, a Sunday night show. I'm happy to have it. It's a documentary, not scripted, but nonetheless, that Sunday night urge, that Sunday night void is filled. Into the Storm, all about QAnon. These fucking people. They find QAnon believers. They find these Q members and they go to their house and they talk to them. These people are the absolute biggest skells of society. I mean, straight out of Central Casting. There's this one fucking guy in a wheelchair who's totally disabled with like no legs, and he holds this giant plastic Q, and he's got this fluffy dog that sits next to him in the wheelchair. It's like part Dr. Evil mixed with like part Mini-Me in a wheelchair, in a chair like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget with the cat, except it's a dog. It could not be scripted any better. And that's what I realized. All of these people, there's a couple that's like, they're Jersey, but they feel like they're like hillbillies. They're kind of like probably like Western Jersey. There's the dude, this Asian kid who invented 8chan. He's the one who runs 8chan, which is the only platform really left that will allow QAnon. Like, they got banned from Reddit, they got banned from 4chan because they were basically like spreading these lies and creating this like revolution. And so there's all these different and then there's this one dude. I almost feel bad making fun of him or laughing. I mean, I think he has a mental disability. I think he has a learning disability. He's like, he looks it, he acts it. He wears this shirt it's actually pretty cool. I kind of want to get one. It says "Keep Calm" and QAnon. Kind of actually, I want to order that. We need a QAnon shirt. And he's like telling these stories about how Donald Trump saw him in a crowd and pointed, and he's like, yeah, and then Donald Trump pointed at me. And I'm like, oh my God, this can't be real. This can't be real. If you were to script the fucking morons who would believe in QAnon, it would look like these goddamn idiots. It's like fact is stranger than fiction, man. It's like, these things, you can't even make it up. And they follow these guys' stories of how they came to fall for the QAnon. I mean, I guess really quickly, if you don't know what QAnon is, it's this completely preposterous conspiracy theory that a former like military member named Q, unnamed member named Q, he does what they call Q drops. A Q drop is when he would drop in on a message board, started out on Reddit, eventually 4chan, now 8chan, and he would drop like this coded message. Sometimes it's just like, it seems like gibberish. Sometimes it almost read like a poem. Sometimes it had like a message involved. And then it was always vague enough that people could take it and interpret it and twist it and make it fit some narrative. And they would wait for these Q drops. And the idea was that Donald Trump was here to carry out the purging of the Hollywood elite and the government elite, who are all human and child traffickers and rapists and cannibals. Sometimes they believe they're reptilian overlords. I mean, just crazy shit. And that Trump was here to kind of like work with Q and execute this plan to clean out, drain the swamp and clean out all the crooked politicians and the Hollywood elite who are apparently eating children. That's where Pizzagate came from, where, all these pizza parlors across the country were human trafficking, and Hillary Clinton is part reptile. I mean, bro, these things are so fucking stupid. And there is a huge chunk of society, or I should say a huge chunk of the internet, and I don't know how big it is really in society, that believes this shit. That, like, some people lost their jobs over it. Some people lost their friends and family. Goddamn Brian from the Backstreet Boys. The fucking Backstreet Boys broke up over QAnon. Fuck you, Brian. I want my boy band back together. By the way, Backstreet Boys, far superior to NSYNC. I don't want to hear it. It's not even close when you really break it down. You look at some of the hits and you look at the streams on Spotify and the records sold, not even close. NSYNC had Justin Timberlake, and that's it. And that's not to turn my nose up at JT. He's incredible. And the songs he had with NSYNC, amazing. Bangers. That one album, maybe you could maybe even say, if you want to just pick one album, that the one that had like Bye 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 and It's Gonna Be Me and all that shit, I think that's all one album. I'll give them that. The rest, it's a no doubt, it's no-brainer. It's Backstreet Boys. And Backstreet Boys is standing the test of time, too. The only thing I will give NSYNC is that they had a song called Digital Get Down that was all about, like, sexting way back before anybody was sexting. They were talking about, getting down digitally. And this is back when people had, like, fucking razors and couldn't even send pictures. I don't even know how they're sitting there T9 texting. Like, do you want to fuck me? It would take like 45 minutes just to send that text. So I don't know how they were digitally getting down, but I tip my cap to you guys. You were ahead of your time. But the Backstreet Boys are far superior, and we'll never hear from them again because dumbass fucking Brian from the Backstreet Boys became so obsessed with QAnon that the rest of the members were like, get the fuck out of here, you dumb asshole. There were people who lost their jobs because they were so outspoken about, Democrats and the liberal side, thinking that they were eating children and stuff. There was like, you're fucking fired because you're a lunatic. You had family members break up, and there was a crew of them on Inauguration Day that said they believed that what you were watching was actually Donald Trump being re-sworn in for a second term because they took his face off. Like the movie Face Off. The movie with Nick Cage and John Travolta where they swap faces. They said they took Joe Biden's face off. They took Donald Trump's face off. They swapped it, and that you're actually watching Donald Trump get sworn in wearing Joe Biden's face because this was all part of Q's plan. And this is all how the plan has to unfold and go for them to take down Obama and Hillary and Oprah and Tom Hanks. And all this, I mean, truly, I feel silly even talking about it when I say it out loud because it's truly fucking ridiculous. And there are people who believe this. People who I think were functioning members of society. Like when you saw the people who stormed the Capitol, there was that one dude who like worked for a law firm, was like a partner at a law firm, and was like, they stole the election because of all this crazy shit. And like, they're like, you're fucking fired. This dude was willing to lose his job over believing an absolute fucking scripted fairy tale. And that's what I meant when I tie it back to the UFO stuff. It's like the idea of like, hey, there are aliens out there flying in UFOs that can maneuver in ways that no planes on planet Earth can. It's like, yeah, we don't care anymore. There's a better story over here. This guy over here has better stories by the campfire. I mean, whoever is behind Q, which I don't even know. This is a 6-part doc, and I'm hoping at some point they talk about like who they actually believe was posting from that account name. Like, he's a great storyteller. This guy should write fucking Hollywood scripts. For all I know, Michael Bay is Q. Because these are just great, like, Nicolas Cage type movies. Nick Cage should just go through QAnon and be like, let's make this a movie. Let's make this a movie. We'll take this post and that post, put that together, make that a movie. This could be a trilogy. That could be 10 parts, like Fast and the Furious. Because it's just a outlandish campfire story. And the amount of people who believe it. It's like the people who say the world's going to end, on this day. The rapture is going to happen. And that day passes and they say like, well, actually, if you read it through this calendar, it's actually this day. They just move the goalposts. Or there are the people who are like, it did happen. We did get raptured. This is just the afterlife. You don't realize it. And they just keep moving the story. And these motherfuckers keep believing it, which I think is A, part mental like disabilities, and B, part like the need to it's almost like religion. I guess when you think about how silly religious stories are, they're just as dumb and far-fetched. They're just as stupid. Like, yeah, this guy got killed and then he rose from the dead, and he turned fish and bread into fish, and he can walk on top of the water, and he can bring dead people back to life. I mean, these are all fucking Christianity, just QAnon, bro. These are just fucking made up stories. Q is Jesus. These are dumb, far-fetched stories that depressed needy, like simple-minded people need to latch on to have some sort of meaning in life so that they can get the fuck up in the morning. Otherwise, they can't function. If there's not some higher meaning, some higher power, some bigger figure to focus on, and some feeling of control over this godforsaken society, they can't handle it. Because the fucking truth is, everyone's an asshole. There are a bunch of fucking rapist scumbags. There are a bunch of child traffickers. It's just not Tom Hanks and Oprah Winfrey. And it's not that the Hollywood liberal elite and the government elite are behind it and that Donald Trump's going to stop it. No one's going to fucking stop it. Because it's all just a bunch of lunatic psychopaths out there who are doing random acts of violence and unexplainable, horrific things to each other. And there's nobody here to fight it. It's not Donald Trump. It's not any president. It's not any figure. It's just like the world is a fucked up place, and you got to tell yourself a story about Jesus Christ, and you got to tell yourself a story about Q to get through it, because you're a dumb fucking asshole. You're a dumb idiot who believes stupid fucking stories. But it's fascinating. That first episode is all about internet nerds, because this whole thing is just about forums, internet forums, and like, here's my screen name, and here's what I used to post, and then this screen name said this, and then this was a rumor, and he started it, but she believed it, and because she reposted it, they thought it was true, and then it's like fucking high school gossip, yet these people think that they're saving the goddamn world. It reminded me of Don't Fuck with Cats, Body Moving, and John Green, those people who solved the murder. They were normal compared to these fucks. But they all believe, it's all like a, second life for them. It all kind of ties into what I was talking about last week about Earth 2 and NFTs and the idea of living on the internet. You tell yourself this story and believe these tales and then think that, then you got to see how it unfolds. And you want to see what, like, to them, watching Inauguration Day, watching Donald Trump's administration, his presidency, the election, is like, oh, we're on season 4 of the show. And is Q going to reveal himself? It's like watching fucking Lost, except these people think it's goddamn real. I can't even articulate like how fucking dumb you have to be. I would love to talk to someone who's in QAnon. And here's the question I have that I can't tell what's worse. Is it worse if come Inauguration Day, there was a bunch of people, and it was one of the most satisfying things ever, that they would post on their Reddit, they would tweet, they would post on their forums, like, well, I feel pretty stupid. Like, there were people like, wait a minute, when is he going to come out and reveal himself? Like, it can't just be that Joe Biden's getting inaugurated. Like, when does the big reveal happen? And when it didn't happen, they were like, well, I feel like an asshole. They were like, does anybody else feel like, they were just taken for a ride and lost, like, their family and friends and job for the last 4 years for nothing? Those people are colossal assholes because they did all that. But at least they had the wherewithal to understand, yeah, I got duped. Is that worse? Is that the worst? Or are the people who still latch on and move the goalposts? Oh, no. It's actually Donald Trump's face, Joe Biden's face on Donald Trump's body. And actually Joe Biden or whoever is Bobby Kennedy reincarnated. Like, Bob Kennedy was never actually dead. He's been hiding this whole time, and he's going to come out and save us. And that if you read the Constitution and interpret it this way, that actually this date is the real Inauguration Day. Something about, like, this is only the 17th president. Some dumb, like, loophole in the Constitution that's like no president since Ulysses S. Grant has actually been president, and this is why that inauguration didn't count. All of these totally far-fetched things that these fucking dickheads actually believe, and they're still latching on. And I don't know what's worse. The people who had if you have the mental capacity to be like, well, I was wrong, then on some level you were like a normal person that did have a functioning brain that allowed yourself to be duped that bad. Over here, the people who are still moving the goalposts and latching on, those are just crazy people. Those are the people who think that the world's going to end. Oh, it's not going to be May 12th. It's going to be May 18th. Oh, it's not going to be 2012. It's going to be 2014. And you just keep moving it, and you scream and yell about repenting and trying to convert and be like some evangelical, and you're a actual mentally crazy person. So I can't even begrudge you because you're just like mentally unstable. But I think the other people who had the ability to be like, wow, I fucked this one up. Like, how did you let yourself get duped for so long? That means you do have a brain. Somewhere deep down, you do have a brain. You just actually believed the story told on an internet forum. You lost your whole livelihood, your whole life, everything, because of some probably stoner teenager who wants to write Hollywood scripts for a living one day, who would get all fucking baked and just start telling stories. I mean, what a great story writer. That's the story behind it there to me is Q, wow, what a tale. Captivated millions. As a writer, as a blogger, if you're a screenwriter or you write scripts, man, that dude's got the goods. That guy, that girl, that group, whoever it fucking was, they captivated millions and started a whole political party almost. Started a fucking online political revolution to the point that people were willing to die for it. It's like writing the Bible. It's like those motherfuckers who wrote the Bible. We're going to tell a story that gets people to donate all of their money every week and also get them to live in a particular way that benefits us, because if they don't, they'll go to a magical, terrible place on fire. And if they do, they go to a magical place that's really happy. And these dumbasses believe it all. Tip of the cap to the Mark, Paul, Peter, and Matthew, I think, who wrote the Bible. And tip of the cap to the Q people. You can write, you can spit bars, apparently, man. What sucks about QAnon too is there is a level still that exists that's kind of believable. At one point it was about, the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world, and everybody was like, oh, you believe that nonsense? You believe that this guy Epstein is throwing parties with child trafficking, and that Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew and Bill Gates and all these people have been on his plane and flew to his island. This is so far-fetched. You're an idiot for believing it. And guess what happened? We all know what happened. That shit was proven true. There's a layer to conspiracy theories where they become not conspiracy theories. If you've ever seen the pyramid of conspiratorial thinking, the bottom level is these are believable things. And they're things like Epstein. They're things like smoking gives you cancer and it's not actually good for you. There are things like global warming, where it's we know these are real. But at one point, that was considered the top of the pyramid. That was considered the most far-fetched thing. It's not that they weren't conspiracy theories. It's just that we proved those conspiracy theories true. So as you go up the pyramid, it's it goes from believable to more and more and more far-fetched to the very top is Hillary Clinton is a reptile. Now, I'm not saying that's ever going to be proven true, but there's got to be stuff along the way in the middle of that pyramid that does get proven true, where it goes from, oh, you're a crackpot if you believe in this, to thinking yo, they were fucking right. The Bohemian Grove people, the Epstein people. There are stories out there that seem far-fetched that do get proven true. And that was a part of QAnon that was pretty interesting like that. And then they just, went off the fucking deep end with face swaps and reptiles and all the Hollywood elite and how the pandemic was all a cover-up and all these things. It's they you know what QAnon is? QAnon are the Game of Thrones writers without George R.R. Martin. In the beginning, Q was George R.R. Martin and was telling a fantastic tale, telling a really captivating story. And then Donald Trump became president, and he got a couple years under him, and the forums grew bigger, and the following grew bigger, and the Twitter presence and the social media presence, and everyone was like, we need more, and they needed more Q drops, and they just started I don't know, let's fucking tell them these guys are dinosaurs. Let's tell them deep down they're actually snakes. Yeah, Hillary Clinton's actually a Komodo dragon who fucks little kids inside a pizza parlor. I don't fucking know. We gotta feed the masses. We gotta, keep them satiated. So They just started writing without the source material anymore. They just went off the rails. QAnon became Game of Thrones season 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, where it was just like, this fucking sucks. Stick to the core. You know me. I'm a tinfoil hat guy. I like to believe in a lot of this stuff. I think question everything. I think there's always a bigger picture. I think there's always somebody trying to exploit and gain and profit. So some of that shit I believe in. And then you just went too far with it. And the fact that there are still people who believe it are such unexplainably big assholes. Just gigantic, gaping assholes. I can't even fathom. I would give anything to talk to one of these people. Please, if you are a QAnon member, please come talk to me. I would love to talk to your dumbass and just blast holes in your entire existence and have you tell me how big of a goddamn loser you are while thinking that you still are some sort of government American patriot fighting against, being the resistance to the global elite. You fucking dumbasses. And that's the power of the internet, though, man. It can rally an entire group of people together to believe in like a made-up fairy tale, or it can make people famous overnight. It can take a guy like David Dobrik, who's just a regular internet nerd. He starts putting up videos. Next thing you know, he's got 18 million subscribers, and he becomes the biggest thing on YouTube, and all because of just the power of the internet and connecting him to people. So we got to talk about the latest news from YouTube. Also, one of the greatest things that the internet has provided is HelloFresh, where I can just go on the internet, click some boxes, pick some food, and it shows up at my house. That is the power. You know how powerful the internet is? It keeps me alive by feeding me food. Because if I had to go to the grocery store and pick out all my own ingredients and cook all my food without knowing what the recipe is or how much ingredients to put in, I would probably poison myself and die and or starve to death. But I go to HelloFresh, I order my food, I can pick from a menu that has a wide array of all sorts of cultural favorites. It can be, your normal American food down to fancy foreign stuff. You can have meals with meat. You can have meals with vegetarians, with vegans. You can have heavy protein. You can have it exotic, whatever. There's several different menu types to choose from. All of them have a wide array of choices, and all of them come with pre-arranged, pre-mixed, pre-portioned ingredients that are all in little tiny bags, little tiny jars. Everything is fit to just what you need for those meals. A little recipe card that teaches you how to make it. You mix them all up, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes at the most, and you got yourself a delicious meal. It's really one of the more simple, idiot-proof companies out there. It's the number one meal kit in America for a reason, because if you don't know how to cook, if you don't know how to shop, if you don't know what ingredients are in what, how to make food, they take care of all of it for you by providing everything you need right there in one box. And right now, they are running 12 free meals, which is nuts. 12 free meals. That's a huge value. Think about how many times when you order at night, you order pickup or delivery, 12 times in a row. That's going to run you like $40 a pop every time. You're talking about like a $500 value when you get 12 free meals. So you go to HelloFresh.com/12Clancy, 12 Clancy, and you'll get 12 free meals, including free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/12Clancy, and then use the code 12Clancy. Get those 12 free meals. Start cooking today. You're going to have yourself fresh meals. You're going to save money. You're going to learn how to cook. Next thing you know, you won't even need the recipe card. You won't even need the pre-portioned ingredients. You're going to know what you're doing. You start to mix and match. You start to make things to your own flavoring, your own taste, and you're going to save cash, all while eating better, cleaner, fresher. HelloFresh.com/12Clancy, code 12Clancy for 12 free meals and free shipping. So David Dobrik, if you don't know him, it's so weird. The internet, you can be massive on the internet and have entire swaths of society who don't know you. Certainly age-wise. I'm not going to expect my mom or any adults really, any older parents to know who the big YouTubers are. But, Barstool is huge on the internet. There's tons of people who have no idea who we are. There's some people who think we are like the most famous people in the world, and that they, think of us as celebrities. You got other people who are like, I have never seen that person in my life. YouTube, biggest video platform ever. This dude I think number one. I mean, he's at least, top 3, top 5 when you include, the Paul brothers and Mr. Beast, and, he's the Vlog Squad and David Dobrik. And I think he's one of these unassuming guys who has, he was savvy with the internet, has enough personality, enough charisma, a lack of shame, and just kind of like, we'll do whatever. We'll post it on the internet, and we'll be entertaining, and the people will follow. 18 million people did. I mean, that's a monster number on YouTube. And he's in extremely hot water now. He ran a crew called the Vlog Squad. In the Vlog Squad is this guy, Dirty Dom. Dirty Dom for a reason. He's a fucking scumbag. Back in 2018, he brought a bunch of girls back to the house to party. David Dobrik, being the leader of this Vlog Squad, was filming the whole time. So these girls show up. They're under the age of 21. Everybody's drinking. Already a bit of a problem. I say a bit of a problem because, let's just be honest, underage drinking happens. People party when they're 20 all the time. I started drinking when I was 15. You could have caught me at parties, house parties, where there were parents, where there was older people, where there are people over 21 serving. I mean, it just is what happens. It's not a good thing, but they're 20, I'm 22, I'm young 20, early 20s. You're allowed to be hanging out. It's not that inappropriate. So that's not the end of the world until one girl gets completely shit-faced drunk. She's going by the name Hannah, a fake name to protect her identity. She ends up having sex with Dom. So Dom came in and was like, I'm going to have a fivesome tonight. I got all these girls coming over. They show up. He brings her into a bedroom. As her story goes, he blocked the doorway, wouldn't let her out, said, hey, are we going to hook up? She said no. He said, you at least have to give me a kiss. He kept pressuring her. She said, I felt like I had to just do something, otherwise who knows what was going to happen. So I gave him a kiss. Later that night, it's her and another girl go in the room with him. Now they're fucked up. Everyone's been drinking. As a lot of the witnesses say, at sometimes she was drinking under her own volition. Other times, guys were like Dirty Dom and them were like, drink up. Sounds just kind of like scummy guys doing scummy things where you're trying to get girls drunk to have fun and to take advantage of them. Not great. So he goes into the room with these two girls. There was a third girl who said, I knew Hannah was really drunk, but she went in there with a friend of hers, so I thought she was going to be good. That girl, her name is Audrey, or I don't know if it's a real name, but the name that she's going under is Audrey. She says Hannah's eyes were rolling in the back of her head, eyes were closed. She was completely passed out while this dude Dom continued to have sex with her. She said in her text messages to Hannah, Audrey said to Hannah, I finished him off so that he would get off of you and stop having sex with you. That is fucking wild. To think that another girl would be like, oh my God, I'm just going to fuck this guy so that he stops fucking my friend who's so drunk. That is grimy. And that girl too, that feels like rape to me also, where it's like that girl felt the need to do that to him, whether it was regular, oral sex, regular sex, whatever it is, finish him off just to get him to stop is deplorable, man. That's despicable shit. And and I guess as the rest of the story goes, that night, they had to put her clothes back on her. She was too drunk to even get dressed. She was too drunk to sit on the toilet. They had to prop her up. By the end of the night, they were carrying her out. And there's pictures of the whole Vlog Squad in the room when the girl's getting carried out. There's videotape of them all throughout the night because David Dobrik, the leader of this Vlog Squad, posted a vlog of that whole night. So back in 2018, one of his videos was like, hey, what's up? David Dobrik from the Vlog Squad. Tonight, we're partying. We got girls coming over. Check it out. Now, at the time when that video came out, nobody knew the backstory that this girl was so incapacitated that it was rape. It was more just like, hey, this is a vlog about people getting fucked up and having sex, which, admittedly is the salacious sort of content that people watch. People would want to see, what does it look like when the Vlog Squad is cutting loose, drinking, and girls are around. In the video, they do things like they had the camera out and they opened up the door to the bedroom and it looked like they were barging in and trying to get a glimpse. Dobrik and all those guys said those bits were filmed after the fact because that's how you film a vlog. You do things afterwards to tell a narrative and tell a story and make it look more dramatic than it was. That is true. People do that shit. Is that what happened there? I don't know. There was no footage of the door open and you saw them. It was just inferred that's what was happening. They're joking around about it. Like smell his fingers afterwards. They're saying, like, at one point he even says, like, whoa, last night was crazy. I think we're all going to go to jail. All these things that at the time just felt like, whoa, we were so fucked up and what a party. When, you know, all the while it was this girl who was like, I was too drunk to function and someone was having sex with me. Like full-blown drunk, under the influence rape. Like crazy shit, which my point about the internet being, when you make people famous who are not really ready to be famous or ever prepared to be famous, you're going to run into some bad shit, because you're going to run into people who do things like this, who, like, you can even tell in David Dobrik's video, and by the way, it's fucked up. David Dobrik has some shit to answer for. He's like the leader of this group. He filmed a lot of it. He was there while a lot of it went on. Probably should have seen some red flags. He and everyone else who's there probably should have stepped in certain ways. But let's make sure that Dirty Dom is the one who's getting all the fucking blame here. He's the dude who raped this girl. Like, let's make sure Dirty Dom is getting what he deserves, just because he's not as famous as David Dobrik. Like, he's the one who fucking did that. So, first and foremost, that dude needs to be taken care of legally, morally, whatever else. Dobrik, it's a different situation. It's not good, but he issued these apologies, which made things even worse. He issued like legal apologies. He put it on a smaller account where it didn't. So he has 3 accounts. One has 18 million subscribers. One has like 1 million subscribers, which, by the way, I mean, I would kill for 1 million subscribers. But to him, that's like his chump change channel. That's where he posted his apology. So people are trying to say he tried to suppress it and hide it rather than putting it out to the masses. I personally viewed that as he didn't want to put it on his main channel and make it look like he was benefiting from it and like, let me get my views up by exploiting the situation and putting it on my main account. But that was my gut inclination. It feels like I am just wrong on that one, and that most people think he was suppressing it and hiding it. But either way, all of this shit it's snowballing on him and getting worse and worse and worse, where his apologies seem to make it worse. And I don't feel like David Dobrik is like a bad dude, like a predator who like set this up and watched it happen and didn't care. I think he's just like a dude who's unprepared for what this life brought about and didn't understand like the dynamic at hand, where, you know, that guy Dirty Dom sounds like a dude who's like, I got a little bit of fame, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna get these girls who don't even really know me, but they're gonna be excited that they're in the vlog, and they're gonna end up doing some things that, you know, they might regret, and I don't care, because I'm gonna get my rocks off. David Dobrik seems like a guy who was just like, I don't know, like, I filmed these vlogs, we were having a party, I don't know what happened. He's a friend of mine. I can't believe you would do that. Like all these stupid things that are like, you're not perceptive. You're not reading the room. You're not looking and understanding. You're not watching and seeing what's unfolding, because all of a sudden, when you become famous overnight, you got a lot more responsibility to worry about, man. A lot of shit that, you know, when it was just you and your buddies making videos, it's not the same as when you and your buddies are making videos for 5 million, 10 million, 15 million people as his channel began to grow. And I think you see it all over the internet. Like even on a much smaller level with Barstool, I'm like, I still don't want any sort of fame or notoriety or recognition. If I could do what I do, reach the audience I reach, hopefully make the money I can make one day, and somehow if I could snap my fingers, and I've been snapping my fingers a lot on this episode, if I could just make it magically happen where I didn't have any public fame, I would, in a heartbeat, I would take that deal. I hate the whole public recognition aspect of it. But some people are all about it. Some people want it. But when you get it overnight, as can happen on the internet, you're thrust into a world that I don't think, you know, a lot of people are ready for. When you are an athlete who's going to make it to the pros, for the most part, you know, and especially if you're going to be like a LeBron or a Mike Trout or something where it's like, yo, when that kid is 9 years old, they know he's going to be the next big thing. So that kid has been groomed. LeBron James was bred to be an athlete, to make it to the pros, and groomed to learn. Groomed is a weird word where now all of a sudden grooming implies like this, you know, sexual predator thing, where I used to take it, you know, grooming LeBron, meaning teaching him to become this machine, this like robot where it's like you're gonna be famous. You're gonna have a lot of people trying to exploit you. You're gonna have a lot of people trying to hang out with you. You're gonna have a lot of people looking at you and trying to take you down. And so here's how you have to act. And you're gonna have people who like you, but if you don't treat them the right way, they're gonna turn on you. And there's gonna be strangers who you have to now worry about. So a dude like LeBron, by the time he made it, he was ready. He had been probably taught by agencies and PR experts. And here's what you say. Here's how you handle the media. Here's how you handle fans. Here's how you handle haters. Here's how you handle women. So they're ready. Same thing kind of with singers. It's like you can kind of have the overnight success with singing, with music, but you've been grinding. You've been around it for a while. And then you have a hit. You maybe tour a little bit. Then you got a hit album. You tour more. There's still like a level of growth. On the internet, you catch lightning in a bottle where all of a sudden you go from, 1,000 followers to 100,000 to 500,000 to in the millions. Or this dude, he got on YouTube nice and early, and next thing you know, he's got a couple million followers. Within a few years, he's got, 18 million subscribers. That's a dude who, like, rather quickly has to recognize you are now like a famous. It's like this weird world of like you're famous but you're not. Some people treat you like a god. Other people don't know who you are. You think of yourself as like, I'm just a normal dude who like films myself. Like even this. I mean, I'm in a nice studio and a nice office. I understand that Barstool has risen and elevated to a high level. But I'm just talking to a fucking camera. When I'm home, I put my phone in a little holder and I'm sitting there with like my kids' artwork behind me. It's not like I'm in front of this huge crowd and I have famous people it doesn't feel like I'm well known or famous or anything. Same thing probably for this dude hanging out with his buddies, like filming YouTubes. But you then have to recognize like you're going to have basically what are equivalent to groupies. And if you don't handle them the right way, there's going to be problems. You're going to have girls who don't know what to do and they find themselves in a bad situation. If you don't step up and handle it the right way, it's going to be a problem for her, for you, for everybody in the future. If you don't handle your crew, if you don't handle everybody else, if you're the leader of that group and you're throwing that party, you're filming that video, and you don't intervene when things are going bad, you end up posting the videos afterwards, even though maybe you knew some shit was going bad. I mean, there's just so many levels to what you have to check now. Like, if I was out right now, if I was at some sort of Barstool event, if I was at a bar, if I was at a party, whatever it may be, and there were like young, drunk girls, I'd be out. I'd leave. I would straight up, especially if they were under 21. If it had nothing to do with me, I'd be like, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to get photographed with them. I don't want anything taken out of context. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want them to talk to me. I don't want anything to do with this situation. And if you do see something, you have to step up and stop it. There's no more like I'm gonna turn a blind eye. There is just so much responsibility that comes with the notoriety and the fame, which on the internet can happen so fucking fast. Where you think you might be a normal person, you're not anymore, and you have like a new level of responsibility and a new level of like risks and a new level of potential downsides and drawbacks that. You ain't just David Dobrik anymore. You're the Vlog Squad. You are like a famous dude, and you roll with a scumbag like Dirty Dom. That's not just Dirty Dom's fault anymore. That's gonna be partially your fault too. And if you document everything you do, they should. Those guys should truly document everything they do. You have that clock running that camera running 24/7, so you can check the tapes. Like I had nothing to do with it, or everything was consensual, or she was drinking without us on her own, whatever it may be. Because if it's just your story and your word, nobody believes that anymore. Especially when you don't get the benefit of the doubt with some of the other actions and words of the people in your court. You look at the rest of that Vlog Squad, everything you've seen from Dirty Dom. There's another guy named Jeff, like Wilty or whatever. All of them have opened their mouths, and they all sound so fucking stupid. They all sound so like ignorant. They don't get it. They aren't well informed. They just dig themselves deeper and deeper because it's like, you guys don't understand what the internet has made you and what's expected of you now. It's a fucking, it's not for everybody, man. I said it with Tiger Woods a couple episodes ago too. Like, he had all the talent to be the best in the ever, but he didn't have the mental makeup to handle that. Fame is certainly not for everybody, especially when you're talking about just internet nerds. I'm good on YouTube. I'm funny on Twitter. I make funny videos and post them. Well, now you're basically like the internet version of fucking, a boy band. Really. These vlog teams, houses, and all that shit. You're basically like boy band level fame for young people on the internet. And if you don't know how to handle your shit, you are fucked. That's why I like guys like Joe Coy. Joe Coy is like an adult man, a family man, a guy who's killed it with his career and done so the right way all the way through. Like learned as he went, grew as like he needed to, and now he's at a level where he can like cash in, really kill it, and he did it all the right way. Like when he looks back, he can say, and actually we a good point is in this interview, he talks about some of the things he did that some were kind of like Asian like jokes and themed nights at comedy clubs directed at Asians, which at the time were funny, and now he's not so proud of. So even he, had to stumble his way through it, but did it the right way. So Joe Coy today's brought to you by Manscaped. Now Joe Coy's got that perfect bald head, that shiny round bald head, and I'm sure he keeps the rest of it pretty trim too. Because hey, listen, nowadays I don't care if you're young, old, guy, girl, whatever you are, you got to keep it neat. You got to keep it trimmed. You get the Manscaped kit. You get the Lawnmower 3.0. It's a trimmer that has nick-proof technology. It uses a ceramic blade back and forth. So when you're trimming up your chest or your balls or whatever, you don't get any nicks. You don't get any cuts. After you're done cutting, you use the ball toner and the ball deodorant. These are like lotions and creams you put on afterwards that keep it fresh. No stinging, keeps the deodorant, keeps the smell good, deodorizes. After you put those on, you put the Manscaped boxers on. These boxers are moisture wicking and prevent sweating. So from top to bottom, from whether you're shaving or caring for it afterwards, you are going to be nicely groomed, smell fresh, look fresh, feel fresh. They got the nose trimmer. They've got everything you need to cut all the hair off of your body, and it's all taken the internet by storm. They are the go-to company for men's grooming. Girls too, I guess, whatever. We're all cutting hair. Who cares? Just use all of this equipment to make sure you are smooth, sexy, and soft for your partner. Go to manscaped.com. And in order to get a discount, you can use the code Clancy. That's manscaped.com. Promo code Clancy. Get 20% off plus free shipping. Get all the goods you need to Manscaped today. And right now, it's an even better cause. It's an even better deal because it's a good cause when they've partnered up with the GOAT, Alex Caruso, and the Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to testicular cancer, men's health, and early cancer detection. So they're doing the We Save Balls initiative. So on top of the discount, you're going to support the fighters, survivors, and families impacted by testicular cancer by helping raise awareness for that 15 to 35 age group that unfortunately suffers from testicular cancer. So shout out to Alex Caruso and everybody, all the survivors, all the people, all the doctors, and everybody who fights testicular cancer. And right now you can help raise awareness with every purchase you make at manscaped.com. Promo code Clancy for 20% off plus free shipping. Let's talk to Joe Coy.
Wait, hang on. Your video's not on. Turn your video on. I can see.
Oh, shit. My video's not on? Hold on.
Old man Coy over here. I can't figure out my zone.
I am old. Here we go. This should work. How about now?
It's cooking. It's about to pop on.
There we go. You know what makes me sad?
Yeah.
You want to see what makes me sad?
What?
My friend doesn't follow me.
What are you talking about?
My friend doesn't follow me, man.
On what? Instagram?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
How crazy is that? How crazy is that?
Look, it says following right there. I don't know what you're talking about.
You just pressed it, you shit.
You know what it is? You know what it is?
Do you think I'm a crazy?
Do you know what?
I'm a crazy.
Here's what it is. You got too many followers. I'm trying to knock you down a peg. 1.1 million. Are you fucking kidding me, Joe Coy?
The one that hurt me the most is my friend.
You know what? Oh, okay. You know what, Joe?
What?
I don't need to follow you on this superficial bullshit. We're friends in real life. If I want to find out how Joe Coy's doing, I don't go to the Instagram. I just text my friend and I say, "How are you, Joe?"
You do text me, and it's a beautiful thing. And I text you all the time, don't I?
But you know what I did notice today, and because we were just recording the other portion of the podcast, I missed your FaceTime.
Yes.
Are you a FaceTime guy?
Yeah, I'm a FaceTime guy, man. It's the only
question. It's perfect that this came up. We got a call from a young lady, and she said, "How do I get a guy to FaceTime me?" Like apparently, what I didn't realize, I'm so old, that there's a new stage of the relationship game. Like, to me, it used to be like, how do I go from like talking to her at the bar to getting her number? How do I go from getting her number to asking her out? How do I go from we went on a couple dates to like I want to get her in bed? How do I get her to go from being a hookup to being my girlfriend? Apparently, then there's some new level in between. How do I get him to FaceTime me? I'm so out of the loop, man. I can't even believe it.
There's more than that too. How do we go from DM to texting? And how do we go from texting to phone call? And how do we go from phone call to FaceTime?
How about when you've got a conversation going on in the DMs and then you got a conversation in the text and it's like I'm replying to you about one story over here while we're talking about another thing over here. It's overload, Joe. It's just too much.
It's too much.
I really mean it though. I have a thought. And on this show here, you know, you've done KFC Radio with me before where we're talking about all sorts of wacky shit. But this podcast here I've been doing for a few months and I try to talk a little more about some of the more serious shit. And really everything seems to point back to one thing. And that's that I think it is not natural or normal to have this much interaction and this much stimulation, this much communication and connection. On the one hand, it can be great. Like I think you, for example, like you have connected with your people probably more so maybe than like anybody when you think about how much you've done, because your product too is talking and laughing and communicating with.
Yes.
So more so than like any other, you know, Asian or Asian American influence, you might be the number one, dude.
Oh man, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I mean, who else? You know, like I'm trying to like, all right, Manny Pacquiao is like this unbelievable superstar, but you just watch him box. You are like talking to the people and connecting, and you learn from them, and they learn from you, and they're laughing and hugging and crying, all that shit. It's
I appreciate it.
Different type of connection, you know.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I you know, specifically for Filipinos, I feel like I've been that guy that to speak for our culture and our people. But I think as a whole, like Asians have, you know, especially now with this platform, you know, now we've got representation from like, you know, of course, Ken Jeong, and then Ali Wong is a beast, you know, and, you know, Ronnie Chang and, you know, Bobby Lee, like those guys, you know, finally, I think now with the power of these platforms like Netflix and of course the podcast and Instagram and all this, now we don't have to wait for the powers that be to be like, I don't think middle America will get it.
Right.
Now, you know what I mean? You don't even understand.
How many times have you heard that?
Bro, this is my 32nd year this year. September will be my 32 years in this biz.
Wow.
I can't even tell you how many times I heard that, man. And it was like so discouraging to the point where I just wanted to quit, man. Like, well, then why am I even doing this? Because I'm seeing every color of the rainbow, laughing, embracing, relating to my stories. But yet when it comes to like pitching a show or trying to get into a network or trying to get on Netflix, who I love Netflix. I'm not saying anything bad. It was a sell. It was a hard sell, bro. Like I felt like I was Mary Kay still knocking on doors trying to sell makeup to people. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I felt. Like it didn't make sense to me, but I just feel like now we're in a better place now with these platforms that are actually giving us leverage to walk in and go, hey man, yeah, middle America gets it. I sold 5,000 tickets in Nashville. So,
and also, you know what? Like you have knocked down, you know, there's nowhere in the planet that doesn't get you anymore. But even if they didn't, like, but there is the coasts of America and overseas, and like there's just more, you know. Do you really have to appeal to every single walk of life in order to get a look? That's what's crazy.
Yeah, that's so cool that you said that. That's such a great question, because it's like as far as like as a business standpoint, right? It's like why wouldn't you just take on that product? Why not have that on your shelf? It's like you have a store, you want to be able to satisfy every customer. It's like, why would you be like, nah, we don't really need this product right now? So I never understood that, because it's like, especially now, like I keep going back to this now that we have a platform like Netflix that speaks to the world. Bro, I had no idea I was going to sell 8,000 tickets in Dubai. I would have never known that. Like, I would have never known that. Like, I can't even fathom that, but I did it. And it's like, the reason why is because finally we have these platforms that speak to everyone. And now we get to like see the truth. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Now we get to, there's no more, it hasn't reached them, or they didn't have an opportunity or the means to connect.
Yeah.
Like, no, we've all seen it. And some of them, sink or float. If you can't make it anymore, also, let me just say, if I'm in control of any of these platforms, clubs, anybody who's like a gatekeeper, and you were to tell me only Asian people will get it, well, guess what, buddy?
Yeah,
that's a good demo to have only. There's a lot of them. So
exactly. It didn't even make sense. It does. You know what doesn't make sense too is like you and I, like I come onto your pod and we're hitting off on all cylinders, man. Mm-hmm. We're just two funny dudes. For some reason, the race comes into play when it comes to selling tickets, and I don't get it because. And I'm not just trying to throw numbers out there. I'm going to do it anyways.
Do it. Drop the numbers. Because they're fucking huge, Joe Coy. They're huge.
Because before the pandemic, right at April of 2020, I was number 10 in the world for arena acts. Not comedic acts. Arena acts, which means number 1 was Elton John. Number 2 was Celine Dion, Blake Shelton, Tool, I can't even name them all. There were so many. And then here I am, number 10, a comedian, world arena act. So it's like,
were you the number 1 comic?
No, I wasn't number 1. No, I wasn't number 1. At that point, it was Jerry Seinfeld was just above me at 7. And I was bro, and his tour was actually almost done. And I still have so many. I've just started. Like I got Radio Music Hall coming up. I got so many arenas coming up in the West Coast coming up.
That is crazy, staggering. And I don't mean to say it.
But the reason why I want to drop that is because that's what blows my mind. Why do we have to come to race? When you find out that I'm half Filipino, half white, and then you hear my act, why do we have to play the race card? Like when you hear the stories about my mom, it's just a mom joke.
Right, that's just funny. Yeah,
it's my mom. My mom is just like your white. My mom is just like your black mom, your Latino mom. Like it's just a mom across the board. So it's like I never understood it. It kind of hurt. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, but you know what you do is you do it perfect in a way that it's like your style and your act is baseline. Everybody can get it and everyone can laugh at it. And then if you are from those backgrounds and you live that life, now it's even better. It's not that, like, if you don't get it, it drops down. It stays baseline funny and it becomes fucking, hysterical if you did have a Filipino mom or you grew up in those countries or those towns. So that's the way you make it universal. While, hey, here's a little bonus if you're like me.
Yeah, man. Thank you for saying
Dude,
that.
I did not. I mean, I can't. That's such a. You're the discounting Jerry Seinfeld because it's like Seinfeld. You know what I mean? He's he's a freak. You're the number 1 selling artist, comic in the world.
It was crazy.
That's fucking nuts, Joe Coy.
It's crazy. And you know what's crazy is I'm not done. Like like
I said, you started.
We stopped in April because of the pandemic. We already offered everybody to return their tickets. We said you can return your tickets, whatever you need to do. Yeah. And no one returned their tickets.
Yeah, that's how you know it's love.
Literally, like we got Radio City Music Hall it's been sold out for almost 2 years right now. Like no one has returned the tickets.
They're just waiting.
We got Portland. We got an arena in Portland. We got an arena in Houston, Texas. I got so many of these arenas lined up, and no one has returned tickets. So, anyways, I didn't want to put that out there. I was just trying to say to you, it's like why does it have to always boil down to that when I come onto your podcast and we're just two funny guys? Like when are we going to realize that? Like, why when you find out that I'm half Asian, then it becomes a race thing? But before any of that, it was just you and I going back and forth.
You know why? Because I think you would, despite the fact that there really has been this, I feel like you guys are having this, moment as a culture where there really are all the names you listed from basically the cast of Crazy Rich Asians. And you know what I mean? And that is relatively new, I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong, but as a white guy looking, I feel like this is the most I've ever seen the Asian culture in this one genre just killing it. Yeah. And so I feel like it is, we've seen, I grew up watching like Comic View on BET, and then we saw the Hill, what's it called? Blue Collar Comedy Tour. Yeah. Like there has been almost every other, you had Iglesias doing Hispanic stuff, but I feel like you are leading the charge in this Asian explosion that is like, I think it's the newest. And so I think it's interesting for people. I would hope that it would almost be viewed and discussed in an interesting way. Like, oh, that's intriguing that there really are that many funny Asian comics or actresses or whatever. And so let's talk about it in a good way, not in a like a segregation sort of way.
Thank you, man. I'm loving this interview, by the way. I'm loving this interview, by the way. It's so good. I bet you are. Because you're saying everything I want to say, but you're saying it the right way, man. You know what I mean? Like
it's harder for when you're talking about yourself. You don't want it to sound like, you're patting your own back, but you really, do you think that you,
bro, I'll interrupt you real quick. Cause we're dealing with a lot of the Asian hate right now. And
for sure wanted to get into that.
And I hate that we're having to deal with this right now, that we're even in a time where we have to face this, but during something so horrible, the one thing that I can say that's good from this, which I'm not saying anything's good, but finally it's opening up some eyes. Yes. Finally, people are identifying and not normalizing something to the point where it was so normal for me to accept this type of racism. And I'm going to even say it, man. I had no idea what systemic racism was. I just found out about this maybe 2 years ago. Right. Like, I didn't even know. I was just like, oh, is this a new thing? I didn't know. That's how ignorant I was. You're talking about a guy that grew up in the 70s and 80s, and it was normal. It was normal for my mom. And I talk about it in my book where it's normal for a little kid to pull his eyes back on my mom at the mall and laugh. And then my mom pat me on the head going, it's okay, Joseph. He doesn't know. But no, that's not cool.
Right.
That's not cool. And that was the kind of stuff that my mom had to face. And that's the stuff that I was normalized by and not having an identity in this country. And then trying to just latch on and be funny and make fun of ourselves, because that's what I needed to do to try and get acceptance. Like it's all about, the generations and how we had to live at that time. And, all the way up until I moved to LA, like, not being able to play the regular rooms on the weekends and then putting me on like these theme nights that if I were to say it now, like people would be like, what the hell? Like Asian invasion and slanted comedy. And no disrespect to those shows. Those were great shows. Chocolate Sundays were the black nights. You know what I mean? Fat Tuesdays were the black comedy shows. It's like, why are we playing these shows and why are we accepting it? Why are we saying, why are we going, okay, yeah, we'll play that. Because it was like normal back then. And now that yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Were you offended at the time and just were like, well, I need the work, or it didn't even register to you that it was like
not at all
rooted, not at all. I don't think the people doing that are like, hateful bigots, but it was just kind of like
no, and not at all. And I will say this, those were some of the greatest shows ever. They're still existing. And what I'm trying to say is those promoters, I'm still friends with those promoters that had those shows, but what are they supposed to do? You know what I mean? They go in to these clubs, telling them that, hey, we can pack this room, pack it. You can make a ton of money. And then the owners of those rooms going, okay, we'll give you a Wednesday night and give it a theme night. Like, what else are they supposed to do? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you were part of the norm. Like you were just because this is at this time, this is normalized and you're just playing it because you're just trying to survive. So I'm not mad at the fact that there was a slanted comedy or an Asian invasion. Those shows were great. and those promoters were great. You know, they were Asian comics that promoted those shows. You know what I mean? They were doing whatever they took to provide a stage.
Where do you draw the line between fun, like if it's funny, like I think that racial humor it's my favorite type of humor.
100%.
I feel like it's my favorite jokes in the world. I mean, Chappelle
Yes.
Show, the skits, I think are the funniest things that I've ever seen. And
Yes.
you know, there's like the when you're making fun of white people, it's hilarious. I think every stereotype is hysterical.
100%.
But I also feel like
I'm with you on that, man. You don't
Yeah,
even have to. You don't even have to walk on eggshells to tell me, because I'm with you on that.
yeah,
It's-
but
it's
so
just
then where
some-
do you draw the line? Like, I mean,
I just feel that right now we're in a very sensitive time. So there's a lot of responsibility, right?
right.
You know, we're speaking to a generation that's very they're fed. There's a lot of fed up, and there's a lot of like power now. We got a lot of people with power. You know what I mean? Like I could end you right now. This type of power.
post a video and
Yeah. So yeah, you do need to be responsible. And look, I'm the first one. I'm not going to sit there and tell you not to do racial humor, but just understand there's a lot of responsibility. And then you also know when someone's being very prejudiced or being very funny and crafted and not trying to do any hurt.
Well, I also think it matters if you are talking about your culture versus other people's cultures, because you know that's where it becomes, well, you didn't live it, you're judging it, you're basing it off of your stereotypes, whatever.
Yes.
Whereas you doing an accent, talking about a stereotypical thing, but you lived it, it's like now that's just drawing on your own life experience. I feel like then it becomes, I think you're paying homage, you're showing respect, I would guess that the reason why the Asian community just fucks with Joe Coy so much and loves his stuff is because I think and I can't tell you this because I don't see it from that point of view, but it seems to me that they are like, he nails it. He lived it. He knows exactly what it's like, and he is conveying it better and funnier than anybody else out there. So we're laughing, you know.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
God, I love you. Why am I loving you so much more right now?
I mean, because I'm
true,
just throwing these compliments your way, but it's, you know, you're hitting it on the head, man. Like there is a joke that I did on Coming In Hot where I do break down the different accents. But if you listen to the joke and the way it's so good.
The way I wrote it, man, is like, I'm not offending you. I'm literally trying to educate you,
right?
And still have a good time doing it, and at the same time lifting the whole like community, lifting the community, like giving them an identity, giving them something to be like, yeah, that's us, damn it, and being proud of it, man. And by the way, everyone that I was doing, those were some fun impersonations, because it was through my life that I learned how to understand that joke and
it's
deliver
accurate. It's like, you know, funny and correct trumps all. So you know, when you got a sold out arena and there's a bunch of Korean people who go, yeah, I know, I do talk just like that. Yep, that's exactly how I sound. And a bunch of Japanese people who are like, yep, that's what grandma sounds like, or whatever. And it's almost like you can't deny it, even if you went into that trying to be offended, which I don't imagine many people do with your show. But even if they were, they would be like, well, no, because he's just accurate. You know, if you're just telling the truth, then there's nothing offensive about it. Do you get any backlash? Do you find yourself in the hot seat for racial issues? Yeah.
Oh, of course. And I get it. You know what I mean? And like, who wouldn't apologize about the stuff that I did coming up? You know what I mean? I was young. I was, you know, I wasn't, you know, I'm just trying to get accepted, man.
Like what you mean doing the Asian Invasion and the Slanted Wednesdays?
Yeah. But those, and by the way, I'm not disrespecting those shows. Like the promoters of those shows were Asian people, and they were just doing what they needed to do because that was the norm. It's like, you know what I mean? Like they were just trying to get in. So I love those shows, you know what I mean? But it just sucked because why a promoter? Why did an Asian promoter have to get pushed to a day like that when he could provide a sold out night on any night? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's all I was getting at. You know what I mean? So
to me, that I'll never. I mean, cash rules, man. Cash rules. Like,
exactly.
You know why?
But it didn't make sense to me. You know, it just. But now, now everything's coming to the forefront. Everyone's being more responsible, and I love that, man. And it's okay to be ignorant, but just don't stay ignorant.
Oh,
Learn.
I learned so much this past year about how ignorant I truly was.
Yeah.
And I'm just not afraid to say it, where I'm just like, I mean, you know what's funny? I feel like plenty of people are content, are happy to be like, oh, I that's over my head. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. But then something like racism comes up and it's like everybody thinks they've got the answer. No, I know what I'm talking about here. It's like I just had no problem throughout the whole thing saying, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. So like I'm just gonna shut the fuck up because I don't know. I have a general idea of some things, but I'm learning that even that is incorrect. So why can't you just put your hand up and be like, oh, I don't know.
I know, right?
I'm clueless,
Yeah. Why can't you just do that? How hard is it?
Well,
we have so many tools now. You can literally Google something and learn about it in 5 seconds in your phone, but you just choosing to be like, I don't know. I hate people that are dismissive like that. Like for me, it's like you just want to stay there. You want to stay down there. You don't want to lift yourself up. So it's like, I don't have room for those people anymore. You know what I mean? Like I have a very small group of people around me in a small circle. And it's like, I only want people to rise up with me. So
I've noticed, I noticed on Instagram, Ken Jong, cause I followed him, before I followed you, I guess. Cause me and him are not as good of friends as you and I are. So that's
100%.
I did notice he and a couple other of the Asian actors and performers I follow are really doing really making an effort to shine a light on how much prejudice there really is still towards the Asian community. And it's crazy that I can look back this past year and think about how many times someone like Ken was posting about that. And I think of myself as pretty smart, open-minded. I get it. And I was looking at that stuff and I was like, okay, yeah, I guess they, do experience it as well, and still not really truly understanding it until, unfortunately, it takes something truly tragic like last week where I was like, oh, fuck. I guess I wasn't really listening. I would see his posts and I would hear these stories, an older Asian gentleman getting punched in the face. And I'm like, wow, that's really messed up, but still didn't truly sink in until some asshole goes and shoots up, 8 different massage places. And it's like, I wonder why, and I wonder if you have an answer to this, like, why is it not as prevalent? Why is it not as understood as maybe we did start to understand it with the Black community or other people who were oppressed? Like, why is it not understood?
It's crazy because it's like what hurts me the most is like, I hate doing this, but like I'm reading some of the comments from like some of the posts, right? Like, like I was posting.
No.
Yeah, and it's like a support, but then it's kind of like a slap in the face, and it's just like, yo, man, really? It's like I don't understand this hate on Asians, man. Love them as much as we love their food, and I'm just like, I'm like, wow, man.
You started out with a good.
Yeah, and I'm like, what was that? And it's like, do we still live in a time where you're just completely blind, where you just you see that there are Asians that are very that have served this, not served, that's a bad choice of word, but has given to this country just as much as anybody else, right? And in all aspects, in entertainment, in education, in everything. But for some reason, you only want to identify with the food, and I don't understand that. Like, even if you were a music lover, like, you can't just sit there and be like, identify with what Asians have done in the entertainment business in music alone. It's like, I don't know, man. It just drives me crazy. Maybe I need to tell more people. I mean, the lady that just won a Grammy for Song of the Year is Filipino and Black. She just won. Like, do we not acknowledge that?
Honestly, bro, didn't know she's Filipino until right now.
Then that's what I need to do. Does everyone know that that nerd, Pharrell and his partner, is Chad,
right?
Hugo. Chad Hugo's Filipino. It's like I don't know, man. It's like maybe
but
that's
that
what
is
we
funny,
need
you know. Like I never thought, like I don't know why Chad didn't make it the way that like Pharrell did.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But Chad just likes to be in the cut. He just likes to be in the cut. But I don't know. But that's what I'm trying to get at. Like there's a very small percentage of us that live in the States, that live in America, but we've done a lot of stuff and a lot of stuff that you know about. And that's what I'm saying about ignorance. It's like you don't have to sit there and just say, oh, we love your food.
I mean, that's that's commenters too. That's just internet stupidity. I wonder, is there like a disconnect, because it does feel like my culture versus your culture, for lack of a better way to describe it, seems so different. Like it seems like an Asian upbringing is going to be very different from, like, I'm an Irish Catholic kid from the Bronx, where it's almost like from at least the stereotypes that I know, it almost feels like, oh boy, we lived so differently, I can't even relate, And there's not as much of a connection. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what it would be that makes it feel so foreign, literally and figuratively.
But what's crazy is it, but
is
like,
it that different?
and I totally understand what you're saying, right? But when you go to your office, how many Asians do you come across? Like, how many do you see here in America that speak perfectly good English? It's like every time we talk about Asians, it's always the one with that accent that just came over, just came to this country. It's like, dude, I have more Asian friends that are in hip hop, you know what I mean? Than I do with an accent. It's like, it's like, I don't know why we're still at, I don't know, man. It's a very confusing thing to me, because
it is. It's sad, but it's also intriguing. It's like, why
is that?
I would love, somebody who's smarter than probably the both of us to be able to say, like, when I think of, whenever you think of stereotypes, you're thinking of the extremes of every religion, culture, society, whatever it may be. But the fact that I do think of it as, always the extremes of everything, so I can't really relate. It's like, I probably can relate to so many more Asian people than I would realize, just because of weird stereotypes that do exist. But I was very taken aback when I saw, I had been reading everything Ken posted, and it still didn't hit me until, unfortunately, it took like a tragedy where it's like, why does it take something of that magnitude to really break through? And I was like, fuck, why am I one of those people? Why can't I, why does it take that for me to get it as well? But it's heartbreaking too. Like I follow Asa Akira as well, and she's so articulate about all this, and she's been talking about it forever, and I still it just doesn't resonate in the same way. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Why not?
Yeah, I don't get it either, man. And like I said, I fall victim to that too. You know what I mean? I don't want you to think you're the only one. Asians did that. Like, you know what I mean? We're just trying to find our way in here. You know what I mean? And for us to be accepted and have an identity. So what is it that we could do? Oh, well, then we'll make fun of ourselves then if we have to, and play into that, because that'll get us through the window. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it sucks. You know what I mean? I did it. Ken did it. Everybody did it. But now I think we understand that we're at a time where it's like, we don't need to do that anymore. We're all Americans, man.
I know, but I also think you guys have grown, evolved, and you've, polished up your act and learned how to be a better comic, where now you're doing it, like I said, in such a way that's like, it's like you're presenting for your audience that are specifically Asian in that moment. And it's like, this is the cool shit that we do. And this is the funny shit that we do. And and I know, and almost makes, you're on the outside looking in if you're not one of us, because you do it in such a way. It's not just like, let me make a joke about eyes or our food. It's like, let me talk about, the specifics of our culture, that really the good parts, and some of the weird parts, but all of the good stuff that makes everybody who's from that culture be like, fuck yeah. That is
Thank
like
you.
how we operate. And that's why we are where we are at. You know, all these things that I think you do it in a much more positive way than anything.
Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate that, man.
And now you dove into the book world with, have you written before?
No.
Yeah, this is your first book.
Yeah, it's my first.
So
that was hard, man. What an emotional roller coaster. What how therapeutic it was. I don't, by the way, I did an audio version. I don't suggest that to anyone. When you write your book, do not read it yourself. One, I know you can't read. And two, I can't read. And three, when you read out loud and just, especially like there's a couple chapters in there that was just hard to write. And then to read it out loud was just was emotionally exhausting.
Right.
And by the time I was done doing the audio version of this book, I looked at my sister. I was like, don't talk to me for like 3-4 days. I need my brain to just come back together right now. Cause I was so emotional, man.
I could imagine it being like, by the end, you're like, I don't want to hear about this book ever fucking again. And it's just being released. You're at the starting line almost in a way. That to me, I've always talked about one day, I would assume I would write a book of some sort. And I mean, we used to blog, and I know it's a very different type of writing, but we would blog so much in the beginning, like for years on end, 10 or 12 posts, 15 posts a day. Oof. Just churning them out. And I couldn't even read back my old blogs. I'd be like, I don't even want to look at it. Like the same way I don't want to hear my own voice. I don't ever listen back to my own podcast. I don't even want to read my own writing.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a book that's like you're pouring out your life and your heart and you want it to be perfect. And but at the same time, I also feel like the thrill, not the thrill, I guess the satisfaction I would get, like period post on the website and on a blog post that I was really happy with. Not when we were just blogging about the news, when I was talking about myself, the shit that I was going through. And, you know, a long form blog is, I don't know, 10,000 words, whatever. And I would feel such satisfaction with that. I can't imagine what it feels like to have a full book about, you know, your life and your culture and everything. There it is, mixed plate. Woo! Look at
I
that.
had no idea it was going to be this thick.
I mean, that's how many pages total is that? You're just showing off. Oh my
God. It was crazy, man.
You got pictures in there? You got double space? What are we doing?
I got pictures. You want me to show you the best picture?
Yes, please. Yeah, you and your son on stage at the was that the forum?
Forum, man.
I actually saw that specific picture. That's when you brought your son out, right?
It was amazing, man.
Look at that moment. That many people there to see you and your family. And I mean, that's got how satisfying is it to be like you're kind of dapping up with your son in that moment. You're like, I'm fucking cool, son. That's like, don't ever forget it. Your daddy's cool, man.
It was cool, man. That was 2 shows, by the way. It was 28,000 people, and sold the first one out in seconds, man. It was crazy, man. And
28,000.
Yeah, 28,000. We sold it out like.
Before you even just tell me the rest of that experience and back to your book, do you feel like you don't get the recognition that you deserve on, like, I mean, you are moving tickets on a level that nobody else in the world, literally, except for Jerry Seinfeld, who we've already said doesn't count, is doing. I feel like
thank you, man.
You deserve, you know, your name should be at the top of every fucking list and chart and everything there is in comedy.
Oh, man, thank you. There's other guys doing those numbers. I think, you know, it's just that was the year that I got to do what I did.
Yeah,
and it was
listen, there are other guys doing the numbers, but I feel like, you know, they're the names that, you know, that people might quote unquote expect it to be. I feel like, you know, Joe Coy, the name, like, know the name, motherfucker, because this guy is doing some shit that only the best of the best do.
Oh, man, thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man.
I know deep down you want to say, like, yeah, you're goddamn right. You're too nice. You're too polite. You're too professional about it. But
you know what it is? Okay, let me tell you what it is. All right,
be honest with me. Be honest.
No, it is a burning thing inside of me. But I also love to save my energy, right? And it's like I get inspired by seeing other people doing things. So when I saw Kevin doing arenas, I literally said it during an interview. I saw Kevin doing a few arenas. I go, I go, I'm doing arenas next. I literally said that on AOL, whatever it's called, Build. And I said it. And literally the year after that, I was selling out multiple arenas. And that's just like always been my thing. Dude, I sold out. I'm telling you, man, I did this one arena in, Dubai. And then just before that, I was in the Philippines. And then before that, I was in Australia, all arenas. And then, and then 2 at the Forum, 2 at Chase Center before it even opened. Didn't even open yet. The Golden State Warriors didn't even play there yet. And then we had Radio City Music Hall. We got Houston coming up. Like, it's just like all these arenas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's what I like to do. Instead of spending my energy.
Yeah.
So no, what I'm saying is instead of spending my energy going, I wish, blah, blah, I'd rather just keep it in and just let these numbers show, because eventually it's going to come to the forefront. And by the way, when I didn't get Netflix, I shot it myself. I told you the story.
Yeah,
well, they bought it.
Yeah.
And then they gave me money for the second special.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one Spielberg watched. So and when he watched that and brought me in, and I sold the movie to him, and that's thank God for that second special coming in hot. Because now I'm doing a movie with
hang on.
Spielberg.
I don't think I know the full extent of this. So Spielberg watches your second. So you do the first. Netflix passes. You basically take your balls in your own bank account, your own hands. You make it. You do your own thing. Netflix comes back around. You do a special with them. Steven Spielberg watches this.
No, watches the second one. He watches the second one from Netflix.
Watches the second one, just like as a fan at home, tunes in, loves it. What happens from there?
Yeah, he brings me in for a meeting, and then I meet Holly and Jeb, the people that run Amblin, and they're like, Steven wants to work with you. What kind of ideas do you have? What movie idea do you have? And I pitched a movie that I already sold to Dan Lin, who does did It 1, It 2, Aladdin, and all the Lego movies. I love you, Dan Lin. So it was already sold to him, but we weren't moving forward. It was just sitting there, and I pitched it to Spielberg in the room, and he bought it in the room. So they bought it in the room, so it was dope. And now here we are, May 3rd, we're going to Vancouver to shoot it. What
is this movie about?
It's called Easter Sunday. It all takes place on one day. It's my Filipino family, everything that happens, the chaos that ensues, the comedy, the culture, the chaos, the love, everything. It's going to be hysterical.
Are you playing like yourself in this or what?
Yeah, I play myself. My son's I have an actor playing my son, and got a character playing my mom. So it's gonna be really cool, man.
Dude, this is what I mean. Like, Joe Coy is doing things that very few people. How many people are doing arenas, Joe? Like,
I don't think there are. I really don't. There's
Kevin Hart does it.
Yeah. Fluffy does it. Gabe kills it. But I think
there's like 5 total. I mean, Bill Burr will do the Garden, but like you can go.
I think on the international, like, because it's like I was doing states and I was doing all the way out to like Australia to Dubai. So
are you the only one?
No. I'm pretty sure Kevin and I don't know the numbers. I really don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I just know.
But I can tell you this: it's not many people, and I feel like some of the names are. Kevin Hart's doing, he's getting asked to do the Oscars and shit. It's like Joe Coy is that fucking dude too. With Steven Spielberg can watch his special and then buy a movie. Basically, I mean that is that type of serendipity. That type of, it's not luck because you put yourself in that position, but it's just amazing, man. Like that to me is if there is some sort of karma or whatever you want to call it, you believe in that?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You actually follow, like, you really believe in it, or you just kind of believe like what goes around comes around? Because like you might be the poster child for this being a real thing.
Oh man, thanks. I don't know. I just want to like, and like I don't believe in karma. Like I don't practice. I don't preach it. I just believe in like being good from your heart, not being good because you're expecting something back. If you're doing that, then I believe in karma, because I believe if you're doing it to expect something back, you're not going to get it. And that's your karma, because it was never from your heart. But when you do something from your heart, man, it gives, it gives back. And I never want anything. I don't.
And that's the beauty of it. It's like the people who want and want and want don't get. It's the people who like are doing it kind of. It's always like I tell this to like, I saw this so much in New York City. Girls who are like late 20s and all they want to do is find a boyfriend, find a man, find their husband. And they're looking for it so much and they're forcing it so much that they don't find someone because they're not being themselves. They're not, in the moment that they stop and they just do what they do, then you find someone because they are attractive. And I feel like it's the same thing with business where it's like, and entertainment and all that, where it's like, just do it from the right place and the right things will fall into place. I mean, then you also have to have wild, immense amounts of talent, but I feel like that's why it works with your act, where it's like, there's never, an exploitive feel to any of the Asian cultures. It's always about doing it the right way. And so the right stuff comes back to you. But I mean, when you think about like a guy like Spielberg, was that a moment for you that's like, holy
unbelievable? Just walking into Amblin, just for a general, we thought it was a general meeting, me and my manager, just walking in like, okay, we're going to be in and out, tell them who you are, and then walk out. And the minute we walked in, they're like, yo, Steven can't stop talking about this special. I was like, yo, what? I was like, are we talking about Steven from accounting? Who are we talking about? Which Steven are we talking about? Yeah.
And I feel like next time they say, middle America isn't paying attention, it's like, oh yeah? Well, like tell it to the guy who fucking made like E.T. or whatever Spielberg made.
Yeah,
it's like,
man.
Everybody of every walk's paying attention. It's crazy.
Dude, thank you for saying that. That was that moment when we walked out. I literally cried in the parking lot. You know what I mean? Because it was just, because it was just like years of like rejection, dude. You know what I mean? All the way up to my Netflix special, man. It's like it was just like, if people could just understand like how much I went through to get to this, and it's like I said, all the way up to my Netflix special where I had to like prove to them and like pay for my special myself, which I don't mind that they did that to me because now I know how to produce a special.
Right.
I know how to do it.
I've heard that like Andrew Schultz went through that, where at one point he was like, fucking Netflix is dead. Like, nobody needs Netflix. And then they come around and they offer him and it's like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
But was there some level of like, man, fuck you guys? It's like, when a girl turns you down and then you come back over the summer a little ripped in school and she wants to date you. Like, wait a second, you were turning me down 2 minutes ago,
That's so funny, man. There was times where I was like I was pissed, man. Like I literally wanted to go and go to my phone and just hate on them. But then I was like, you know what? No, don't do that. Because I knew I had a good special. Yeah. I just had to get it in their hands. And getting them to the clubs wasn't working. So let me just go ahead and shoot it. So that's what it took for me to do it. And I'm glad I did, man.
And that's that level though. Like, that's why you end up doing the second. See, here's the difference. Someone like me, I, an idiot, would be inclined to be like, fuck you, Netflix. Like, you don't deserve this. And then I don't put the second special out on Netflix, and I don't get the meeting with Steven Spielberg. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that you were willing to maybe let's call it swallow your pride in some way. And that leads to so many better things. Like the door of a lifetime opens up because you were willing to say, all right, I understand why, rather than being like petty or holding a grudge or, whatever. It's a lesson, man. You're laying out the blueprint for how to do it in the right way, in like the respectful way, in the honorable way, because
thank you, man.
I mean, who says a bad word about Joe Coy even? I'm trying to think, like, I have never heard of anybody be like, oh, yeah, you should hear some stories about Joe Coy on the road or something. It's nothing, man.
Thank you, man.
Maybe that's why we should look out for you. Maybe you're actually like the serial killer type. It's almost the guy that they don't have anything. There's nothing bad to say about him. He's got bodies in the freezer or something.
That's so funny. Here's the thing, man. I just knew how hard it was to get in, and you got to remember, I'm walking on like eggshells. It's like I don't want to mess up because that's it. If they're not going to look at me right now, imagine if I screw up, they're never gonna look at me again. So like that's what I was dealing with. Like, so and then when I finally got in, man, they asked me for that third special, and I literally, that's the one I went to Manila and did the whole thing on the Philippines. and they really just wanted an hour special, and I pitched them that special, and I didn't make any money on that special, man. Like that was me just trying to give back to my culture and shine some light on some Filipino talent and give them an opportunity to share that platform that was so hard for me to get into. So like I was just trying to open that door up for these guys, and then not only that, give a platform to these kids that lived in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know what I mean? Just dreaming that they could, you know, do a rap album, you know what I mean? And here they are doing my song, my theme song. By the way, that girl got signed by Def Jam. The girl that
Are you kidding me?
I swear to God, they signed her. Yeah. The girl that's on that did my theme song to that special, she lives in the Philippines. You got to see where they live, and killed it. Moral Beats was the producer. Illmind, by the way, Illmind lives in New York City. He got a Grammy for Jay-Z and Beyonce's album. No one knew that, you know, Filipino did that. You know what I mean? But I brought him to the Philippines. He produced that beat with Moral Beats, who lived in the Philippines, and that girl was a Filipino that lived in the Philippines. And now look at us. Now look what we got to do. We got a girl signed by Def Jam, and that to me is winning over anything else.
And you're doing it like it feels like you're truly doing it for all the right reasons, you son of a bitch. You know, like it doesn't, like it just feels like this is every bone in your body is so genuine when you're doing it. Cause like there's a lot of people who give back, but you know their motivations, and that's okay too, by the way. I feel like as long as the end result is something respectful and good, you know, if you're doing it for your own image, if you donate to that charity because you want to look good, whatever it may be, like, so be it. As long as you're doing good things with your platform and your money and you know, your status. But when you're like the way you're doing it, I feel like it really is just about them, about the people, about the culture, about the families, the kids. You're nauseating is what you are, Coy. Tell me.
It's hard, man. Okay, let me give you an example why it's so important. Because like I get it. Like I could see in your shoes why it's hard to understand why I'm trying to do what I do. Let me put you in my shoes. Imagine being a half white, half Filipino kid that lives in this country, America. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad are divorced. My dad lives in Arizona. My mom's raising this kid, right? And I'm struggling with identity. I don't even know my white side because all I know is my mom. My mom is the only one raising me. Her sisters are the only ones raising me. My sisters are raising me. And I'm just struggling with my identity. What's a Filipino? There's no representation on TV. There's nothing, right? Until I watch a movie with Rob Schneider. And watch how specific this is, man. And watch what this does for me and my career, okay? I don't know which movie it is. It's like, maybe it was Deuces Bigelow. I can't remember whatever it was called. Mm-hmm. And there's a scene in the movie where his dad goes, "Your mom made your favorite dessert, raspberry babinka." And I'm in the theater. And when he said babinka, bro, my mouth dropped. I'm tapping everybody just to let them know that word is a Filipino dessert. Mm-hmm. And I eat that dessert. Like I was so proud to say that. And like no one understands how important that was to me. But that one word that Rob Schneider said inspired a young kid to pursue stand-up. And, you know, it showed me that, okay, it's possible. And then I found out that Rob was half Filipino. Like he has blue eyes and his last name is Schneider. Like he didn't look Filipino to me. But when he said babinka, I'm like, boom. He made it, I can make it. And that's what that one word did to me, man. Just one word. So when I finally got into that Netflix family, that's why I was like, I have to do this, man. Like I have to show Filipinos that it's possible. You know what I mean? That there is a stage here for you. There is a platform. Like let's give them this opportunity. Like let's inspire these kids. You know what I mean? That are just sitting in Iowa. Going, I wonder if I can make it as a Filipino comic. Well, yeah, you can, man. And then inspire some Filipino kids in the Philippines and go, oh, I wonder if I can make it as a rapper. That's what that was.
Like, you know what? You can say that and it's all fluffy pie in the sky. Like let's help the kids or whatever. But then you go and get a kid fucking signed to Def Jam. You know, it's like the way that you actually put that in motion. It's like, you know, anybody can say it. A lot of people can, it's for the kids, man. I do this for the kids. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me how'd you do it? Like, I got this kid signed to Def Jam, man. That's what I do. What do you do about it? Is there anybody?
You want to know what's crazy, man? Is I have the B-Boys opening up that show, right? So I got B-Boys in the Philippines. These are kids that are like damn near homeless kids. And we made them audition. And the guy, Ronnie, the Filipino kid that was the head B-Boy that went there. I've known him for over 24 years. I used to book these comedy shows in Vegas and B-Boy shows in Vegas, and he used to perform at them. That's how far back we go. I didn't just hire a B-Boy group because everyone's dancing now. We have history together. I've known him since he was 19 years old. And we opened for Snoop Dogg together in Hawaii together, like in 1999. Like, I've known Ronnie my whole life, like basically my whole entertainment life. So getting him on Netflix was a lifelong journey for me. Like, when I got that deal, you can ask Ronnie too. Everybody, you can follow him. His name's Ronnie. He's from Full Force Crew. He's in Super Crew. He does stuff with the Jabbawockeez, but I've known him way back. And he'll tell you, man, the minute I left Netflix for that meeting, when I pitched him the idea that I wanted to go to the Philippines to do this special, he was the first kid I called. And I go, dude, I got it. And I want you to do the B-Boy section of this show. Hand to God, bro. That's what happened.
And that's why you are who you are, man. Because like, that's really where your brain goes first. Speaking of, they're telling me we got to wrap up. But before we do so, I did see that Jabbawockeez cut on Instagram, right? That was you dancing. Was that you? Like, is that at the last second you just pop in, or were you one of those guys behind the mask the whole time?
Not the whole time. I'll tell the truth. I'm not. That wasn't me the whole time. I
Even
know that.
Pretty cool though. Like,
oh yeah, that was my set. Yeah, that was my set. By the way, I was a B-Boy before anybody. All right.
I know. I know you got the moves, but I was like, still, can you keep up with the Jabbawockeez right now at this age after all these years? That's something.
So funny. I've known those kids. I've known the Jabbawockeez since they were like 11, 12 years old, man.
This is what I mean, dude. You're the most underrated guy in the world. You know everybody. You're cool with everybody, from hip hop and rap and b-boying down to comedy, down to acting, from the execs to the people behind the camera, in front of the camera, old, young, white, Asian. Like, you're just that dude.
Oh man.
And I feel like the world needs to fucking know it, man.
I love it.
And I feel like they are. I feel like they are, dude. You're doing it all over the world. You're doing it on every medium. You got the book out now. Give me the details on the book. When's it out exactly?
Tonight, midnight tonight. It'll go live.
Go get
you
the
can pre-order
book
now.
Man. It's out, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's finally out. Go everywhere too. Barnes and Noble, Amazon, JoeKoy.com, all that.
Let me say this to wrap up. You said earlier, like, you're just getting started with the arenas, and you were referring to like this year with the pandemic and all that. Like, you're just getting started, like, period, brother. I know you feel like 32 years in the game. It probably feels like you've been in it forever, and you're not just starting, but you've like, it's the tip of the iceberg for this next level of arenas and movies and directors and books. Like, when it's all said and done, man, I feel like you're going to be one of the most successful people to ever do this whole goddamn game.
Dude, I love you, man.
Just remember me when, you want to cast some extras. I know you're picking up the phone and you're hooking up all like the Filipino kids. Remember, like, the white Irish kids, it's been hard. It's hard for the white guys out here. Remember us too.
I love you, man.
I appreciate the time as always, man. Everybody go get the book, and we'll talk soon. All right.
You're the best.
Let's
show them the cover.
There it is. Mixed plate, Joe Coy. You cocky bastard. Look at that. I love it.
I love it, man.
Ha ha. Look at that hair.
Look at that. Look at that angle. Why did my mom leave that?
I love it, dude.
I love you, man.
See you next time, pal.
You're the best.
Thanks, man.